Ask Mixing with Mike. Can I use the same mix to cut vinyl record that I use for the digital release? This is a question that's come up a few times in recent months with some of the mastering work that I do. And the answer is always depends. Usually, if the intention of the artist at the mixing stage is to cut a record to vinyl as well as to do a digital release or release on CD, then actions would be taken during the mixing stage so that it would be compatible with both formats. Some of the problems that occur in working with a digital mix and printing it to vinyl is that certain things like wide chorusing effects, out of phase effects, and certain things like too much low end, extreme transient peaks at certain frequencies, sibilance is not tolerated or becomes a problem in the stage of cutting the actual lacquer, which is used to press the vinyl discs from. So, or eventually used to cut the vinyl discs from. So, in the process of making the mix, if you're dealing with some sibilance issues, you might be a little bit more aggressive in that particular area. Not have sounds that have an overly aggressive amount of top end. Being careful not to over limit your mixes. So when you get those squared off peaks, that becomes problematic and creates more audible distortions in vinyl than it does in the digital realm. And also having too much low end or an imbalanced low end. A low end that's wide. Generally, the low end should be very mono because it forces the cutting head to move. If it moved too far laterally, which creates a problem in terms of cutting the vinyl. These are some of the basic things that you would want to keep in mind. Also, in your panning, if you have certain instruments that are prominent parts of the mix, you don't want them to be panned hard left or right unless there's something on the opposite side that balances it. So if it's an acoustic guitar that's loud and there's a doubling of it that's on the right side, that's fine. But if it's a big heavy acoustic and it's on one side and there's nothing to balance it on the other side, that can be a problem. These are the types of things that you would consider, maybe monoing up the mix just a little bit, not going so wide with your mixing unless there are things to balance it out. Those are some of the basics that you would consider in the mixing process. So the answer to the question is depends. And if that is the intention, then you want to approach your original mix with the idea and limitations of vinyl in mind. And those are some of the basics. Okay, there's our Ask Mixing with Mike question. Can I use the same mix to cut vinyl that I use for the digital release?